Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Legends of 40K. For those of you who may be watching this for the first time, Legends of 40K is a video series type of thing in which each video I look at one specific special character and I talk all about them. I give you the rundown on them and I talk all about them. So I figured since I did a couple videos on Space Wolves recently, I'd give the Space Pups a Legends of 40K for them. I've done other ones in the past, but I thought I'd do another one now, considering I talked about Space Wolves recently. So we're going to do Njal Stormcaller, Lord of Tempests, special character Ruin Priest. And Ruin Priests are basically librarians. There's a minor war gear difference. I'm sure people would try and, I'm sure people would say otherwise to me at my local gaming place, but they're basically librarians. So let's jump right to it. They have 245 points for Njal. Not there, he is. I don't know why I said there. Njal is 245 points. Weapon skill of 5, ballistic skill of 4, strength and toughness of 4, 2 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 10, 2 plus save. By the way, you can find that stat line on the Games Workshop website if you want to look at it while I'm talking. He has runic armor, wolf tooth necklace, staff of the Stormcaller, Nightwing, bolt pistol, frag and crack grenade, saga of majesty. He is unique infantry. He may replace his runic armor and frag and crack grenades with runic Terminator armor for an additional 25 points. He has Emanation of No Fear, acute senses, counterattack, independent character, Master Psyker, Lord of Tempests, and he knows all psychic powers. So as a Master Psyker, he knows all the psychic powers, and he may use up to 2 per turn. Lord of Tempests, at the beginning of Njal's turn, he rolled a d3 and add the turn number to the result. So you add 1 to a d3 result on turn 1, add 2 on turn 2, etc., etc. There's a table you refer to, which is on the same page, and only enemy models in Njal's line of sight can be affected by the Tempest effects, and it affects that game turn. Not your player turn, but the game turn. So game turn 2, game turn 3, stuff like that. So you can roll it on turn 1 as well. So let's look at the table. If you roll a total, the result are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus. This is a total result, including the bonuses you add to it. So any modification you add to it, and then you consult the table. So if you roll a total of 2, you get the calm before the storm. No in-game effect. Pretty much can only happen turn 1. If you get a total of 3, you get Driving Gale. Enemy models within 24 inches are at -1 ballistic skill this turn. If you get a total of 4, enemy infantry within 24 inches move as if they were in difficult terrain, and that's called Living Hurricane. If you get a total of 5, you get Howling Cyclone. At the end of Njal's assault phase, all unengaged enemy units within 18 inches must pass a morale test or fall back. Roll of 6, you get Vengeful Tornado. At the end of Njal's shooting phase, a model within 18 inches is ravaged by a tornado, taking D3 strength 9 hits. Vehicles are hit on their side armor. If you roll 7 plus, you get Chain Lightning. At the end of Njal's shooting phase, unengaged enemy units within 12 inches of Njal take D6 strength 8 hits with an AP of 5. So, a handy little bonus there. War Gear, he has Staff of the Stormcaller. It acts as a runic weapon, but nullifies enemy psychic powers in a roll of 3 plus. The rules for runic weapons are in the Ruin Priest section. I'm not going to go over that here. You have runic Terminator armor that he can take. It gives him a 2 plus armor save for being Terminator armor, and he gets a 4 plus invulnerability save. So that's nice. And he has Nightwing, which is a cyber familiar. It follows all the rules for a Chooser of the Slain. In the assault phase, a single model in base contact with Njal, chosen by the owning player, suffers D3 strength 3 hits at initiative of 5. So that's everything Njal gets, plus knowing all the psychic powers and being able to do 2 a turn. So before I go into how I would use him, let's go over what I think about his model and what I think about the entry. I think his model is great. It's this Terminator armor that he's in on the model. It's a nice pose. It's suitably dynamic without being like crazy, and it's not that static. It's got a good natural pose to it. The wolf pelt isn't in your face. It's there, and clearly you're drawn to it by the head, but it's not like as I'd say in your face as the Wolfguard plastic kit in Terminator armor, where it has like it draped over the Terminator armor completely, and it's not like across the midsection, which is kind of I'm just not a big fan of putting it across the midsection like that, like a whole wolf pelt. So it's in a good spot. I like his staff, mostly the shaft of it. It looks very nice. His Terminator armor is suitably ornate with all the ruins on it, and he has his bolt pistol right there. Pretty much the only Terminator model with a bolt pistol. And his familiar looks cool. So all in all, I do like the model. He used to have a model that was in just basic power armor, not Terminator armor. You know, basic power armor, runic armor, whatever you want to call it. But it looked a little silly. His arms were outstretched, kind of. He kind of looked like he was a shaman trying to do some ritual. I don't know, just the posing of it looked a little silly. And it was an older pewter model anyway, so I can't find it on the website. It may be there. I didn't really give a thorough look. But this one is much better. I don't know why he has a psychic hood. If you look here's with the mouse right there, this part, you can look on the Games Workshop site, is pretty much meant to be a psychic hood. That's what they do on that's what they have on their Terminator Librarian model, and that's what's on the power armor models. I don't know why it's there for him. He doesn't have a psychic hood, but no big deal. I'm not really complaining in terms of making the model look bad. I just wonder why they did that. Anyways, I enjoy his model. I would suggest picking it up if you're a Space Wolf fan. It looks really good. So, what I think about his entry. Well, first off, I think he should be at Initiative 5, all Ruin Priests should be at Initiative 5, and all Librarians in general for Space Marines should be at Initiative 5 instead of 4. I quite frankly think Initiative 4 is dumb. They're an HQ, they're specially trained, they should be at a higher initiative. But they're not, and I just think it's just a little weak on the part of the stat line. So, being that he falls in the same category, has the same exact stat line as a Librarian or Ruin Priest, he should have Initiative 5 as well. So, that's the start. I don't think he should be in Runic armor. I think he should only be in Terminator armor. I think it's unique to have him in Terminator armor. No other special character Librarian is. And I know he's a Ruin Priest, so I'm just going to say Librarian for ease. And while that does give him some drawbacks, you know, can't sweep to advance or whatnot, it also gives him Terminator armor. So, and as a fan of Terminator armor, I like that. I do think, though, his point cost overall, as it is right now, isn't bad. I do think that charging 25 additional points for Terminator armor makes him really overpriced. I don't think that's good at all. Personally, Njal should have Terminator armor for the points, his base points at 245. He should have Terminator armor, and she count as having assault and defensive grenades because of Lord of Tempest. I think the Lord of Tempest, I don't know, it's a bit much for me. I don't think, you know, if I don't know what they would use to replace it, what I'm trying to say, but if you do take that away, if they did take it away, they should add something to it for its point cost. But if you're going to have Lord of Tempest, it shouldn't count as a psychic power in terms of how many you can do a turn. You still get his 2 a turn, but it's basically a psychic effect. The elements of nature don't just come to your defense on their own volition. So I think models that are affected by psychic abilities or are immune to them or have a defense against them should get that when dealing with Lord of Tempest. For example, if models within the radius of his effect for something, and you got Sisters of Battle, Imperial Guardsmen, and Orc Boys or whatever, just for kicks. The Imperial Guardsmen and the Orc Boys should get affected, no problem. The Sisters of Battle squad should get their roll to see if they are unaffected. If they succeed their roll, they shouldn't nullify the power. They should just not be affected by it. Same thing with Grey Knights. Psychic Hoods, I haven't given that much thought. In theory, it should nullify it for that turn, but at the same time, that may be a little bit too much for such a side move like that. But anyway, that's what I think should happen for something like Lord of Tempest. And if any other Psyker had an ability like that, I think that it should also count as a psychic ability. That happens automatically, no test required, nothing like that. But doesn't count towards your powers per turn, but should still count as a psychic ability. But I think Lord of Tempest should also give him assault and defensive grenades, as the elements are swirling around him to protect him pretty much. So anyway, yeah, that's that. I think his Raven's pretty cool, his Cyber Familiar, because while it's not, it counts as Chooser the Slain, which is nice, and while it's not that strong, the strength 3 hits, the D3 or whatever, it's something else on top of what you're gonna do to make your opponent roll armor saves and possibly fail them, and that's always helpful. So and it goes before him, which is kind of funny. Anyway, overall, although I think for what he is now, he's not overly point costed. If you take him Runic armor, if you take him in Terminator armor, you're going to be paying a little bit too much, in my opinion, for him. Although he does look cool. So, with the little bit of time I have left, how would I utilize him? I would utilize him like I would utilize any other non-Chaos Psychic for Space Marines. Because I utilize Ahriman from the Chaos Space Marine Codex for my pre-Heresy 1000 Suns. And I utilize him differently because he works a little differently. But I'll utilize Njal the same way I utilized Tigerius once, in the same way I would utilize any Space Marine Librarian. I would get him close in to support, especially with his Lord of Tempest rule. I would attach him to a squad, at the very least Grey Hunters, regardless of whatever armor you put him in. I would attach any independent character to a squad to help survivability. And you have to utilize the psychic abilities. You can't be afraid of that. If you're not big into psychic abilities, then why are you looking at the Njal in the first place? I would be aggressive with him, because the closer he gets to more squads can be affected by his Lord of Tempest rule. Plus, then you got the ability to affect things with your psychic abilities. Being that he has a bolt pistol, even while in Terminator armor, he does a decent amount of attacks in close combat. He has his base, then +1 for having a force weapon and a pistol, because nowhere does it say the staff is two-handed, even though he's holding it like that now in the model. And if he charges, he gets another +1 on top of that, so he's not a slouch. Librarian in general, like Librarian special characters or Librarians and generic Rune Priests, aren't really slouchful. They're just not as big and bad as a Captain or a Wolf Lord or anything like that. So I can't give you any real technical advice with Njal. I don't really play Psychers in general, but except for the Thousand Suns army. But I would say, if you're going to utilize him, you have to be aggressive with him. You have to get him in there. You have to take some risks in terms of making those rolls and anything like that. I wouldn't get him into Assault right away. I would keep him there, and if necessary, you could always do it. But I find that Psychers like this, unless they can do their powers while locked in close combat, are better off just being there to essentially nuke, quote-unquote, the enemy with your psychic abilities, or beef up your army, whichever abilities you have or choose to use. So that's what I would do. I would keep him out of the close combat, except for all but the most necessary cases, or if he has to really clean up house, then he could. He has the ability to, I just prefer to utilize his psychic abilities. Now, if certain ones can be used while in assault, then go ahead. But generally, when he's out of assault, he doesn't have the ability to be targeted. In assault, he's an independent character. He can be singled out by things in base contact with him. But when he's in a squad outside of assault, he can't be singled out except for special cases like Vindicares. And he can be more of a utilitarian, more of a buffer for your entire squad or your entire army using his abilities left and right. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope that was at least entertaining, and until next time, take it easy.